Sometimes the truth isn't discovered on purpose. Sometimes it's overheard. Maya moved through her days like a dancer in a familiar but slightly off-key ballet. Mornings with Ethan were a practiced routine: coffee, a polite kiss, a shared glance that didn't quite connect. He was there, but not really. His mind always seemed to be somewhere else, lost in the glow of his phone or the muffled urgency of a call taken in another room. She'd see his reflection in the window as he paced, his back to her, and hers in the kettle, waiting for water that felt like it would never boil. The space between them had grown, filled with unspoken questions and the quiet hum of avoidance. She noticed the small things: how he'd flinch when she reached for his hand, how his laughter didn't quite reach his eyes anymore. He'd say he was just tired, stressed from work, and she'd nod. Choosing patience over confrontation, it was easier to believe the simple lie than to face the complicated truth she felt lurking just beneath the surface. He thought she trusted him completely, and in a way, she did. She trusted him to be exactly who he was showing her he was. A man slowly, methodically, building a wall between them. The house was always quiet when she came home from her afternoon shift. A peaceful silence she usually cherished. But one Tuesday, the silence was broken. She stepped inside, kicking off her shoes, and froze in the hallway. Ethan's voice drifted from the study. It wasn't the words themselves that held her captive, but the tone, a conspiratorial whisper, a secret shared with someone on the other end of the line. She couldn't make out everything, just fragments, sharp and cold, that pierced the stillness. She doesn't suspect anything. A pause. I know. I'll explain everything later. The world seemed to tilt on its axis. Maya stood perfectly still, her hand hovering over the light switch. Every instinct told her to storm in, to demand answers, to shatter the fragile peace with the force of her betrayal. But she didn't. She just listened as the rhythm of her own heartbeat became the loudest sound in the room. He was confirming a story she had been telling herself for months. A story she had tried so desperately to unwrite. He wasn't just distant. He was living a different life, one where she was a character who didn't know her lines. When the call ended and the door handle to the study began to turn, she moved silently, retreating to the kitchen as if she'd just walked in. That evening was a masterclass in performance art. Ethan was charming, attentive, asking about her day with a manufactured warmth that made her skin crawl. He talked about their future, about a vacation they should plan, all while the echo of his secret conversation hung in the air between them. Maya played her part. She smiled, she laughed, she passed the salt. But her eyes saw everything with a terrifying new clarity. She wasn't looking at the man she loved anymore. She was observing a stranger who wore his face. He was so confident, so utterly unaware that the ground beneath his feet had already crumbled. In her quiet observation, she found a strange sense of power. She already had the only answer that mattered. The next morning, the sun streamed into the apartment, painting everything in a bright and forgiving light. For Ethan, it was just another day. He woke up, stretched, and walked into the living room, expecting the familiar scent of coffee. The apartment was the same. The couch was where it always was, the books were on their shelves, but the air was different. It was still, empty. Then he saw it. Placed perfectly in the center of the dining table was a single, folded piece of paper. His name was written on the front in Maya's elegant script. His hands trembled slightly as he unfolded it. The note was short, brutally simple. I heard enough to understand where I stand. I won't ask questions that have already answered themselves. There was no anger, no accusations, no room for his carefully constructed excuses. There was just finality. He looked around the silent apartment, a hollow feeling blooming in his chest. He had been so focused on managing his lies, on keeping his two worlds separate, that he never considered a third option, that she would simply choose to walk out of both. She hadn't waited for the dramatic confrontation, the tearful confession, the messy fallout. She had denied him the stage for his final act. She didn't leave because of what she heard. She left because of what she finally understood. Her value wasn't something to be debated or negotiated. It was absolute. And in the quiet dignity of her departure, she took back every piece of herself he had tried to hide away. As Ethan stood frozen, clutching the letter that was both an ending and a beginning, Maya was already miles away, walking into the bright, unfiltered daylight. She didn't look back. She didn't need to. The heaviest things are the ones we refuse to put down, and she was finally beautifully unburdened. Some truths don't knock. They arrive without permission. And they set you free. Thanks for watching. Remember to take care of yourselves and each other. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more content like this. We'll see you in the next one.